G'day, we're in New Zealand, Central North Island, Topdressing Ops, operating off one of the steeper airstrips I've worked from. I'm also doubling up with another pilot here, and I'll talk you through a couple of loads and some of the challenges with multi-aircraft operations. Believe it or not, I'm actually on the airstrip right now. You can't see it because it drops off quite steeply, another 5 or so meters in front of me. And I'm just waiting now for the other pilot who's doing a load just for our sequencing and timing. You can see him there just off to the left, tipping out the last of his load. So that's me, stirred the porridge, powering up, and you'll see the nose now drop right down. If you have a look at the vertical speed indicator, we're going quite steeply down, nearly 1,000 feet a minute on descent. This is a 21% gradient, and we're airborne, starting our right turn. It's quite a climb on this job. We've got to manage our speed and power on this climb. 100 knots is what I want to be climbing at. We're using the light bar to line us up on our run, and I've overshot the run just to give myself more space to climb as high as I can. The top of the skyline, that's where we're going to end up. Swing it around, lining up in the run. Our blue lights are on. It tells us that our doors are open. We'll also be checking in the mirror, which is outside on the wing, just to make sure the fert's flowing freely. We've got a timer, countdown timer on the light bar. See it working there. That tells us when we're approaching, getting close to the end of the run. That was just to mark a boundary, coming up to the proper boundary there. Turning away, can't quite get over that hill and maintaining my speed. And I can't get right over the top either. We've finished sowing, but to get around for my other run, I'm gonna have to take the long way around. I'll be watching, monitoring my airspeed as well as these tops of the hills. They get pretty big when you're getting pretty slow, pretty heavy. I'm turning around now, using the light bar to line up. So we're just over 2,000 feet, and we'll be descending the rest of the way, so I'll have to be bringing my power back as we go. Into the block, opening the doors, blue lights are on. I'll be checking the mirrors. You can see the dust from the previous run off to the right. This might look familiar to some of you. The clearing off to the left there, that is the Taumaranui aerodrome, those that are flowing around Central North Island. And you can also see, if you look close enough, straight off the nose, the other plane just starting their sowing run. And as well, just off to the left, you can see the bin in the airstrip. Shows nicely the steepness of the strip. Because our sowing run takes us over the short final approach path, I'm actually going to close the doors now and then open them back up once I'm past the centre line, just so we don't end up flying through our own dust. Load's empty. As we spin around to land, I'll be clearing the hopper, which is opening the hopper doors and getting rid of the last little bit of fert that's in there, if any. Line ourselves up to land. We want to be a little bit faster than normal, just to compensate for that drastic upslope. Vertical speed indicator will show how much we are actually climbing. Flaring touchdown. We're climbing at 1,000 feet a minute while we're actually on the ground. It shows how steep it really is. On the top, spin around, line ourselves up. And I'll open the lid and go through my checks as the truck comes in and tips the load in. You can see all the dust from the load there off the end of the strip. Didn't quite time it right. You can actually see the windscreen's a little bit grubby now because of it. Feel the load going in there. You can see the other plane off to the left again, doing another run. Truck's out the way. Stir the porridge. Start feeding it. And off we go. A little bit of back pressure, nose is off, and we're airborne. Lower the nose, get our airspeed up, start our turn, raise our flaps, and we will bring power back to max continuous. There's one extra fancy little mod on this Cresco model, and that is the windscreen washer. So when we do get dust on the windscreen, we can flick this switch on, blast some water and clear my windscreen. Also tapping on the rudder pedals there to direct the blast. Some of the challenges involved when working with another aircraft, or doubling up as we call it. Maintaining separation is obviously the big one. And to do that, we make sure we're in radio contact the whole time. We'll make radio calls before we take off and when we return back to land, and each time the other pilot will have to acknowledge that and visually get us in contact, and if not, they'll talk to the other one and say, where are you, or here I am, can you see me? We should always be in contact, and we should always know where the other aircraft is. We also need to know where to go and which areas we're going to do. If you're both on the same farm, you don't want to be putting fert in the same area twice. So you need to have designated areas on who's going where and how much fert and what rate. Timing's also one thing we need to be wary of. If we've got even spacing, so the loader truck, the loader driver can have enough time to get their loads. Typically what we've found works is doing the same block and doing it the same way with the same pattern. If you're doing a racetrack, you do half of that each. I'd do the first half, the other pilot would do the second, and it actually ties in well with the other points raised. If we're doing the same block, we actually know where the other person's flying because they're flying the same track that you are, and you know where to look for the other plane, at least the general area. You've got a bit of an idea on timing, you're going to be the same time. Overall it seems to work better, especially with the GPS we've got now. We can both go accurately and do half the block and know that it actually is half the block done. Now also dual comm radios working near an aerodrome. We'll be listening out on the local chat frequency, and one of us, if we hear traffic, we'll make a call for both of us and then confirm it with the other pilot that you've made the radio call. End of the run, pulling up around to the left so we can get a better angle on the other plane here. There she is.
Too close for missiles, Goose. I'm switching to guns.
Beep, 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 beep.
Just as good. Yeehaw!
I'll follow him around but continue myself into land. I'll be keeping just a little bit more power on here. I'm a little lower and slower than a normal approach. Continue around. I'll pull up my airspeed and my vertical speed indicator for those interested on how fast or slow we're going on finals. Spinning around and lining up. We have got a little bit of herbs on the engine. Starting our climb, flaring, touchdown. Over the top. There's the truck, we'll keep out of his way. Looks like the bins are empty too, must be just about done. And that is us done. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one. Actually, I'll quickly show you this other clip I've got here because it looks cool. See the other plane doing some bits and pieces off the end of the strip. So I'm parked up waiting and watching. Both of these aircraft is a Cresco, New Zealand made by Pacific Aerospace. We're carting about 1.8 tonne, 1800 kilos or just under 4,000 pounds, with a basic empty weight of just over 1,300 kilos or just under 3,000 pounds, and a maximum payload popper load of 2.2 tonnes or 4,850 pounds. That's 1.5 times its empty weight that it can carry in payload, which is magnificent. He'll be shutting off on and off there because he's doing specific paddocks there. There'll be a bit of bush or a gully in between each paddock. These are an incredible aircraft, especially when they don't have a load in them. Extremely impressive takeoff and landing performance. It'd be what's called a STOL aircraft, short takeoff and landing. In a bit of wind, I've landed one in 26 metres, which is about 85 feet, which is pretty impressive for an aircraft of this size. It was also blowing near 30 knots, so it wasn't exactly working weather. As we can see, Brandon coming in now, he would have had a yarn to me on the radio to check I'm not taking off, and confirmed I've got him there. Can't actually see him landing because of, again, the slope, but there he is. That steep slope slows you down very quickly. If you land too short and too slow, you've got to put in a good bootload of power to get to the top of the hill. Hope that gave you an insight into dual aircraft operations and landing on a hillside. But that is us. Definitely this time. Hurry!